Hello from Singapore. Welcome to the Ministry of Guitar YouTube channel. I'm Utkarsh Mohan. Subscribe to us for structured reviews, an unbiased point of view, and an international perspective. Today on the Ministry of Guitar, we shall be checking out probably one of the most critically acclaimed guitars of the last, at least the last 5 years, the mighty Mccarty 594. So the Mccarty 594 is PRS's attempt at recreating the sound and feel of the most iconic electric guitar of all time, the 1959 Gibson Les Paul. The 594 was launched initially as a double cutaway, as is the standard PRS shape, followed quickly by a single cut like the one that I'm holding over here. The double cutaway came in 2016, the single cut in 2017. Since then, it has raced to become one of PRS's largest selling core guitars, core as in made in the USA and to the higher spec. And overall, this guitar came out to great critical acclaim, and even 3 years down the line, there are multiple players as well as critics who swear by this guitar. So today, let's find out what the fuss is all about. We kick things off with a very beautiful case. This is a PRS wood library case. So the normal PRS cases actually tend to be plain, something like the one that you see over here. But wood library has this very nice pattern, as you can see, and it's got kind of it's got a softer texture. PRS cases are also known for being extremely solid, so they protect the guitar really well, and they sound really good and chunky when you open them up. There we go. This case has a bit of, you have to be a bit careful. I'm not the most careful, but sometimes the outside of the case can get some of this white markings, but it's easily rubbed off. All right, the moment of truth. Opening up this beautiful, beautiful case. Nice blue lining. So again, with wood library, you get a certificate telling you about what this is, and we'll take you through the specs later. Let's pop this up over here. And then, of course, you have the guitar in all of its glory. Checking out the compartment inside the case. Pretty sizable compartment. That's why I like PRS cases. And what you get is standard fare. You get a brochure, for PRS guitars. Yep, thank you for choosing us. Yes, that's good. You get a sticker, which I have got so many of these now. This is good to have. Original case candy, truss rod adjuster, which I've taken out. You've got a key to the case, which I've never opened. As you can see, it's still unsealed. A manual with instructions, which I don't really read, and sitting inside the manual right now, the critical certificate telling you about this guitar, when it was made, what neck it has, what pickups it has. So you should get that with every core PRS that you buy. And beyond that, this is more of my own. I think this is a receipt from when I bought it. Yes, this was bought from GAK. My wife got it. And then finally, what is this? This is, register your PRS. I've never done that. Maybe I should do that now. So yeah, all in all, plenty of case candy to make you feel good as you buy your expensive guitar. So let's get into the specs of it. Starting off with the top, standard PRS headstock shape, no different from what you would see on, say, a custom 24, but it is unusual to see that on a single cut shape, of course. Locking tuners, specifically PRS Phase 3 locking tuners, modified, which means that PRS took the regular Phase 3 tuners but did some voodoo black magic on it to make the guitar sustain better, and I believe them. Do note that for 2020, these Phase 3 modified locking tuners get replaced by standard vintage locking tuners. A good or a bad move depending on your point of view. For me, a bad move. I love these tuners. This guitar has a maple neck, a flame maple neck because it's a wood library, but standard 594 would come with a mahogany neck, much like a Les Paul. Similarly, the fretboard on this guitar is an ebony fretboard, but a standard 594 would have a rosewood fretboard. The nut on a 594 is a bone nut compared to the proprietary material used on other PRSs. Bone being a more vintage appropriate spec. The frets on the 594 are not very large, nor are they very small. They are different from regular. I would say they are different from regular PRS. They feel a touch smaller, but I could be mistaken. But I'm just telling you the player's point of view. The single cut is a good weight. This particular guitar is about 9 pounds something, which is not very heavy, light for a Les Paul, but heavier than a standard PRS. The neck profile on this guitar is what's called pattern vintage. Pattern vintage is an older inspired neck profile. It's thickish, but it's thinner on the treble side versus the bass side. Some people really love it. I'm not the biggest fan. After 4 years of playing this guitar, I've gotten used to it, or perhaps the guitar has got adapted to my hand. But initially, surprisingly enough, even though I am a quintessential Les Paul guy, that was the thing I struggled with. I do believe that my experience was a bit unique because most Les Paul guys that I know of who tried this guitar loved the neck, and some people actually changed to this guitar for the neck. But for me, the neck was a love, a hate. Finally, now it's come to become love after some time. Moving down, this like all 594s, this has a flame maple top. Again, similar in spec to what you would see on Les Paul. Body is of course mahogany. This particular guitar has it finished in with this lovely red coloring and grain filler on top. And the particular color on this guitar is called burnt maple leaf, which is a beautiful color, transitioning from grayish to slightly yellowish, ash-like towards red. So it's a burst in a certain kind of way. A major talking point about the 594 have been the pickups. They are the 5815 LT pickups. Now let's explain for a second what does that mean. 58 means the year of inspiration, so they are inspired rather by pickups or PAFs from the 1950s, specifically in 1958. Paul Reed Smith went to the trouble of acquiring the wire that was used to in the pickups of the 1950s by Gibson, and though that same wire is used today in their modern pickups. So 58 is the year of inspiration. 15 is the year that these pickups came out, 2015. LT stands for low turn, which means that these are lower output pickups, which means they have an extremely articulate and extremely beautiful sound, as you shall see. Other thing of interest is that the neck pickup and the bridge pickup on this guitar are identical. Typically on electric guitar, you would see that people try to make the bridge pickup a bit hotter. Not the case here. They figured it was good enough. Finally, this has the two-piece fixed bridge, much like a Les Paul, but very different with very different dimensions. One thing that you would notice for PRS, going to their attention for detail, they use brass for better sound, better harmonic content. So you will see that while the rest of the bridge is nickel, you will have brass inserts and in brass where the string is touching the bridge, which is amazing. Layout for this guitar is the standard Les Paul layout. So you've got a three-way switch on the top, solid sounding switch really, and 4 knobs for your volume. And excuse me, you've got your neck volume, neck tone, and you've got your bridge volume and bridge tone, much like a Les Paul. When you play this guitar, what's very notable is two things about its sound. Firstly, this guitar sustains like no other guitar I've ever played, with the exception of another different Gibson guitar called the Gibson Bonnabird, but that's a story for a different day. So sustain, whatever black magic / scientific voodoo dust that Paul Reed Smith has been putting into the 594, I will say it comprehensively works. This guitar sustains like nothing else, and acoustically it's super loud. Well, not that you have a frame of reference, but you can take my word for it. When you translate this through an amp, you will see two things. You get immense clarity, both on the neck and the bridge pickup, which is often the Achilles heel of many Les Pauls. Yet you don't lose the sweetness of that neck pickup, which for me is the hallmark of a Les Paul tone. So you truly can replace your Les Paul with this for gigging, as I have. Of small note, this is my guitar, which I've been using for the past 3 years. And it'll do everything the Les Paul can do for you, yet cut through better in the mix. One criticism that many people put towards this guitar is that the bridge pickup is not hot enough for playing searing rock stuff. I'm in the camp that doesn't agree with that point of view. I think the bridge pickup is not that hot, but it's not really a problem. In any case, with the amount of gain that amps today contain or pedals, you have no problem getting it up to speed, and you tend to appreciate the clarity. The neck pickup clean tone is probably one of my favorite sounds on this guitar. And the other thing that's extremely good on this guitar are the coil splits. The coil splits on this guitar do not mimic what a Strat sounds like, but they are extremely beautiful sounds, which are thinner versions of the regular bridge humbucker sound. Sorry, bridge or regular humbucker sound. So I cannot recommend that highly enough. Standout features of this guitar are, beyond how it sounds, are really like any PRS USA core model. The fit and finish, outstanding. You can see of course, grade of maple is a cosmetic thing. So while I will say it's beautiful, that's not necessarily what I refer to as high quality. I refer to fit and finish. I refer to not having any visible imperfections, at least to my eye. I refer to how the guitar is a dawdle to play. Compared to guitars that are based off the traditional designs that were made in the 50s. So for me, the big difference between a 594 and a Gibson Les Paul is that a Gibson Les Paul feels like taking a classic car out. It's very nice. It has a lot of character, but you are, at the end of the day, you know that you are not really using something that's cutting edge. You're using something that has character. This feels cutting edge despite looking like something older, and you get that old sound without any of the compromises that you might have. Much like if you had a modern car today, the car would get up to speed, you wouldn't have any breakdowns. So the right analogy for that is having gigged with a Les Paul for at least 10 years, more than 10 years actually, I've gotten very used to, after every song, I go and check my tuning. Last 5 years, I've been gigging with PRSs, last 3 years or so with this one. And I still do that out of habit because I'm so used to having a Les Paul. But whenever I put it into tuning mode, there is never a need for me to tune. The guitar just stays in tune. That is a big plus. And despite the single cut shape, accessing everything here is not troublesome. I mean, there is a bit of, I guess there is a bit of a carve. It's not as dramatic or as rigid as a regular Les Paul, but that, and that probably helps you play this as well. My overall thoughts on the guitar are extremely positive. As I mentioned earlier, this is my number one guitar that I have gigged with for the past 3 years. So while I may be slightly biased, I am in a position to provide a very relatively comprehensive point of view on this one. So let's go via the rating scale. So let's rate this guitar across 5 metrics. Number 1, build quality. I would give this guitar a solid, I was going to say 9 out of 10, but you know what? 10 out of 10. I cannot fault it for anything. So yeah, this guitar is as well built as any guitar can be at any price. Rating number 2, sounds. I would give this guitar 9 out of 10 for sound. The reason why I deduct the 1 mark away is, of course, this is an extremely versatile guitar, but yeah, I mean, it's not a high output humbucker guitar, nor does it have a trem, which means that I can't cover everything that I want with this. I could cover probably 95% of all the music in the world, and nobody in the audience could tell the difference. But as a guitarist, I might find, if I want something super versatile, of course, there are more versatile guitars than this that exist. For example, I can't get the number 2 or number 4 Strat position on this one. So 1 mark deducted for not being able to sound like a Strat, which is fair enough. Playability, this particular guitar, which is the single cut, I give it 8 out of 10. The deduction, see, I would give a Les Paul probably around 6 or 7 out of 10. This gets an 8 out of 10 for being easier to play than a Les Paul. But ultimately, yeah, you are using a traditional bodied guitar. So, this is never going to be as fast or as effortless to play as something which is much more ergonomic and designed to be ergonomic from the ground up, like many modern guitar shapes. Appeal. So appeal is basically, what is the curb appeal of this? How does it look? Do other people admire it? Solid 9 out of 10 again. This is an extremely desirable instrument. It's not just about price. You can have very expensive guitars that are extremely ugly, but this is not one of them. This is extremely beautiful. PRSs in general, with their dipped in glass finish, and overall the birds, everybody comments on the birds. So I give this a high 9 in terms of curb appeal. And finally, value for money. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. The reason I give it a 7 out of 10, which you might find, is it is a bloody expensive guitar. So a regular PRS will cost you more than $3,500–4,000. A wood library probably $1,000 more than that. And you can get extremely good guitars for 1/4 of that, which can do the job just fine. So as much as this is, probably the ultimate instrument that you could desire, it is an expensive one, and it is great for the money, but it's no value for money hero. You are definitely making a choice to upgrade to something premium if you buy a $4,000 or $5,000 guitar. So that gives you a grand total of 43 out of 50. For this guitar, most points deducted for value for money because it is expensive, but a solid score nonetheless. So final thoughts on this guitar. What are the 3 things I most like about it, and what are potentially 3 or less than that things that I would like to improve about it? The 3 things I like most about a 594, number 1, the sound. Everything about it. So it's the pickups, it's how it sustains, it's how the guitar itself has amazing acoustic volume. So that's number 1. Number 2 thing I like about this guitar is the quality. It's probably the thing I would like about all PRS's guitar. It is high quality. It is the tool that just works, compared to many other guitars where it's very nice to look at, or it gives you great feelings and reminds you of certain times, but it may not be the best tool for the job. And the third thing that I love about this guitar is how it looks, and how PRS makes their guitars a thing of beauty. What I would love to see improved for this guitar is only one thing. Only one thing. I wish they had a trem option. I love, I've played fixed bridge guitars for the longest time, but I do miss a trem, and I have started playing, I tend to play my custom 24 and my DGT sometimes now because I need a trem. And that's the only reason sometimes I feel that I'm missing out. So there's only one thing I want, PRS, please add a trem to this. Overall, if you're in the market for this guitar, you cannot go wrong. If you're a Les Paul guy thinking, should I try it out? You should try it out. I am a Les Paul guy. I have converted. And yeah, this very well may be one of the best guitars out there. I mean, over the past 4 years or 3 years I've had this guitar, I've had multiple guitars go in and go out. And this guitar has stayed. There might have been moments where I felt that the other guitars were more interesting just because of novelty value. But ultimately, if I have to go for a gig, or if I need to record something, or if there's a job to be done, I just gravitate towards this guitar because I know it'll just work. All right, I hope this was helpful. Till next time.